The Whispering Archive. In the heart of an ancient city, nestled between towering spires of glass and steel, there was a forgotten building known only to a few. The archive, a place shrouded in myth, stood in the shadow of the modern world, its existence barely acknowledged by those who passed it each day. Few knew its true purpose, and even fewer had dared to enter. To the outside world, it was merely a relic of the past, a monument to history. But within its walls lay something far more significant, something that would change the world forever. The archive was not just a collection of dusty tomes or faded scrolls. It was the keeper of stories. Stories not yet told. Stories waiting to be written. These stories were not of the past, but of the future. Each person who stepped foot inside it would find their own story, one written in the language of their soul. All they had to do was listen. One evening, a young woman named Elara wandered into the city, searching for something she couldn't yet name. She had been told of the archive as a child, but she had always dismissed it as fantasy. Now, standing before its weathered doors, she felt an inexplicable pull. She pushed them open and entered. The moment she stepped inside, she felt a strange stillness settle over her. The air was thick with the weight of silence. Yet it was alive with a presence that seemed to hum just beneath the surface. As her eyes adjusted to the dim light, she saw the rows of shelves, each one stacked high with books that seemed to shimmer faintly. They were not just books, they were living things, each one breathing, pulsing with energy. She reached out to touch one, and a sudden rush of images flooded her mind. A vast ocean under a blood-red sky, a city in flames, and a figure cloaked in shadow standing at the center. The voice came without warning, a soft whisper that seemed to echo from the very walls. Your story has already begun. Elara froze. She was alone, yet the voice felt so close. She turned, but no one was there. The silence returned. Now it felt heavier, more profound. She looked back at the book she had touched, now glowing with an eerie light. What is this place? She whispered to herself, her voice barely audible. A figure appeared before her, as if stepping out from the pages themselves. He was tall, dressed in a dark coat that shimmered like the night sky, his face partially obscured by a hood. He was not human, not quite. His eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, and his presence seemed to draw the very shadows to him. The archive, he said, his voice like the rustle of ancient parchment, is where all stories are kept, the ones that have been told and the ones yet to come. Elara took a step back, her heart racing. What do you mean? How can a story be untold? The figure smiled, but it was not a smile of comfort. Every life is a story, Elara. Your story, my story, or the story of the world. But not all stories are written down. Not all of them are shared. Some stories, they wait. They wait for the right moment, the right person to tell them. He gestured to the shelves around them. These books are the stories of the future, of things that have yet to happen. Every person who walks through these doors leaves with a story, one that will shape their destiny. Elara swallowed, her mind racing. And what happens if I take one of these stories? The figure's eyes gleamed. You will become part of it. You will shape it, mold it, live it. But remember this, the archive does not choose who tells the story. You do. How do I know which one is mine? Elara asked, her voice trembling. The figure extended a hand, and a book flew from the shelf, landing gently in her grasp. The cover was smooth and cold, and as she opened it, the words within began to write themselves. They were in a language she didn't recognize, yet somehow she understood. The words described a life that was hers, but not yet lived. She looked up, her heart pounding. This is my story. Yes, the figure said softly. But you have a choice. You can walk away, leave it here, and let the story fade into nothing. Or you can step forward and live it. Elara's fingers trembled as she turned the pages. The story unfolded before her, visions of herself in places she had never been, doing things she had never imagined. It was beautiful and terrifying, filled with moments of triumph and loss. But one thing was clear. It was her story, written in the depths of her soul. What happens if I live it? She asked, her voice barely a whisper. Then you will become the story. And when it is complete, the archive will record it for all eternity. But beware, Elara. Stories are not always what they seem. There is always a price to pay for those who choose to live them. A chill ran down her spine. She glanced at the book in her hands, the weight of its words pressing against her chest. The story within it was a promise of something grand and impossible, something that would change her forever. But the figure's warning echoed in her mind. There is always a price. For a long moment, Elara hesitated. She thought of the life she had led, quiet, uneventful, safe. And then she thought of the life that awaited her in the pages of the book. It was a life of adventure, of risk, of love and loss, of discovery. It was everything she had ever dreamed of and feared. She closed her eyes and made her choice. I will live it, she said, her voice steady. The figure nodded, a flicker of something like approval in his eyes. Then your story begins. The world around her seemed to shift. The archive dissolved into nothingness, and Elara found herself standing on the edge of a vast, unfamiliar landscape. The book in her hands pulsed with energy, the words still writing themselves. And as she stepped forward into the unknown, she understood. The archive had never just been a place, it had always been a choice. And now, she had chosen her story. Her journey had only just begun.